So what happened when Jesus went out into the wilderness? We're told what happened in Mark 1:13. We had just read, immediately the Holy Spirit compelled Jesus to go into the wilderness. And then verse 13, he was there for 40 days being tempted by Satan. He was out among the wild animals, and angels took care of him. That's all Mark has to say about it. Other Gospels, on the other hand, have a little more to say about it than Mark. In Matthew 4:1, he talks about Jesus going into the wilderness, and Mark seems to indicate that the purpose for him going into the wilderness was to be tempted. So it wasn't a case of Jesus going out into the wilderness and, now look what's happened. Satan came out here to tempt me. Mark seems to indicate the very point of him going into the wilderness was to be tempted. The Greek word tempted is pairazzo, and it's used in the passive infinitive sense, which is kind of, when you use the word tempted, it's to be tempted, in order to be tempted. Jesus was led into the wilderness in order that he would be tempted. And he fasted and he was hungry. Those are some details added in Matthew's version. Then in Luke's version, also Luke chapter 2, verses 1 and 2, it actually adds that Jesus returned from the Jordan. So remember last time I said he was already in the wilderness and then he was cast out into the wilderness. Luke actually adds that he returned from the Jordan, wherever that may be, to Nazareth, to Galilee, to Jerusalem. I'm not sure where. But then, being led by the Spirit, he also was pairazzo out there in order to be tempted. The purpose of his going into the wilderness was to be tempted. Luke also mentions that he fasted, and they both, Matthew and Luke, say that he was hungry. But the point I want to bring up here is Jesus' first order of business when he's launched on his ministry. Like I said, God is saying, hey, pack your bags, it's time to get to work. What's his first order of business? To go to a secluded place. Like I said, he was alone in the wilderness. And it's to deal with Satan. That is his first order of business, is to deal with the adversary and the tempter. And was it to put up your dukes and fight? No, it was to, so he's incarnate, right? Fully human, doesn't eat, he's hungry, he's alone, and that's how he confronts Satan. And Satan hits him with temptations, and he doesn't bend. Now, was he really alone? Well, it says in Luke that he was led by the Spirit, being filled with the Spirit. I would wager one of the points Luke is trying to put across is Jesus had the Spirit with him. Yes, he was alone. He was in the wilderness. He had no food. He was among wild beasts. But he was led by the Spirit. And what did he use to combat Satan when Satan was tempting him? In the other Gospels, you'll see there are some specifics given, and he uses his Bible to defend against Satan. And shortly after he references the Bible, and Satan accepts defeat and leaves, angels come immediately and minister to him. So that's just kind of interesting to me, that the point of him going into the wilderness was to be tempted, to confront Satan, it was almost impossible for him to do it completely alone because the Spirit was with him. Why was the Spirit with him? Because God had ripped open the sky and the Spirit had come down to Jesus. So God was involved, the Spirit was involved, certainly Jesus was involved. Jesus used his own Bible, and subsequently the angels came and ministered to him. That's just almost like an object lesson for us, if you will, and I don't do many of those in these episodes. But, coincidence? I think not. Word